Ashâke gritted her teeth and pushed the voices from her mind. No use dwelling over unfavorable thoughts. She turned her attention to the tree and the gaping crevice between its roots. It looked ordinary to the casual eye, a bough dammed up with the rot of several seasons, but that was because Ashâke had made it so. Grunting with effort, she began to pull away the dirt, rotted palm fronds, dead leaves and twigs and soil, to reveal a shoe. Lord of roads and crossroads, messenger Orisha stood before her. His effigy, at least. The greater Orisha all had effigies in the temple, towering bronze structures that lined the walls of the inner sanctum. But this was no such effigy. For one, it was made of white clay, which Ashâke had painstakingly retrieved from the bottom of the river, diving into the cold water night after night, carefully sifting the riverbed, then stumbling, sopping wet through the forest, freezing to her bones as she tried to make it back to the temple before the rousing bell. Moons and moons of dedication had led her to this moment, to the Idan before her, carved with the language of binding. And once she performed the final ritual, at last, it would hold Eshu's essence. She would ask her questions, and he would have no choice but to answer. Why, then, did she hesitate? Why did her hands tremble, her heart flutter? Eshu's blank eyes regarded her, and it seemed to Ashâke that his lips were upturned in the suggestion of a smile. "You're frightened." Simbi's voice rang loud in her head. "What you seek is dangerous. It is not too late to turn back now." And then what? Turning back would mean accepting defeat, condemning herself to how many more seasons of ridicule? Her own peers were 5 seasons into their priesthoods, yet here she was, stuck as an acolyte, suffering the jeers of the little runts who had come up behind her and now thought themselves her equal. No, she had to know why the Orisha refused to speak to her, where she had gone wrong. "Okay," she said, taking a deep breath to steel her nerves. "What needs doing must be done well." Ashâke placed 2 bundles of loud in the Idan's outstretched hands and lit them. The incense burned, its faintly sweet smoke tickling the back of her throat. Next, she took her knife and drew it across her palm. It stung, and she bit back a whimper as blood bloomed in the fresh cut. Once her hand was full, she poured it over the flames, which hissed, the smoke turning black and pungent, the bitter smell of copper sharp in the back of her throat. "Eshu Elegba," she intoned, "messenger lord of the Orisha, the one whose path is 256, the one whose path is uncountable. I bind you with Ashâke, which gives me life. I summon you with the breath of Obatala. Come, come forth." The wind wailed in the trees, nearly snuffing out the fire. Ashâke waited, but nothing happened. Why wasn't it working? The glyphs she'd etched into the effigy should be aglow. Instead, they remained dull white. Ashâke blew out a frustrated breath and squeezed her fist over the fire again, but it had stopped bleeding. She grabbed the bloody dagger, choking back a whimper as she worked it deeper into her palm until the blood flowed anew, hissing into the flames. "Eshu Elegba, messenger lord of the Orisha, the one whose path is 256, the one whose path is uncountable. I bind you with Ashâke, which gives me life." Her hand moved of its own accord, slamming down on